On today's episode of Locked On Avalanche, the Avs take the all-important game one, flip that home ice advantage back to themselves. Let's talk about game one, the 5-1 win for the Avalanche over the Dallas Stars. New episode of Locked On Avalanche coming at you.
Your Locked On Avalanche, your daily podcast on the Colorado Avalanche. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, everybody. Welcome to the Locked On Avalanche podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your host, Chris Maselli. With me, as always, Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. Thank you for tuning in, making this your first listen of the day. Always appreciated. Happy Easter to everybody. It's a much better Easter than if the score was flipped. So if you want to get in on the conversation, join our subtext. Link is in the show notes below. Chat with Kyle and I one-on-one. We get your opinion, everything Avalanche related, and share it on this very podcast. We'll do that a little bit later. Subtext is firing off right now. So we'll read their comments on this 5-1 win for the Avs. So, yeah, I think you know what we're going to be talking about today, Kyle. So might as well dive in. We'll get to Mackenzie Blackwood because he was otherworldly in this game and he needed to be. But overall, thoughts on the game, score maybe a little bit inflated because they got those few at the end. But you know, that one Taves goal, just the relief after that to get that third goal and get back to a 2-goal lead. But overall, I thought the Avs played a very sound game.
And you know the weird thing about it, like watching that game wire to wire, we talk about this a couple times. Like this was a game that you never felt like the Avs were desperate or like climbing or clamoring. Like you felt like just hold the line, do what you're supposed to be doing, and like the Avs it's going to pay off. And I had to keep reminding myself, like, this is game one of the playoffs. Like, you should not have this kind of confidence. There should be that, oh dear, what's going to happen factor. But like the Avalanche, they played a good game. Like there were a couple shots you'd like to have back, or maybe a couple a couple of plays that you were like, if this would just be a different, but like even the power play was kind of working like towards the end. Like this was a good performance. And again, you didn't know really what the roster would look like. And you had EJ playing defense, and this team muscled past Dallas. This was a good, like, yes, I agree with you. The score is inflated, but this is a really good, like a really good output for the Avalanche in game one.
Right. You know, when they're down two of their best guys, you have to win those games.
Yep.
We don't know if they're going to be, well, they said Robertson is week to week, and they've made Heiskanen day to day. And they had video of Miro Heiskanen kind of skating around, and he looked pretty good. So I'm just of the mind he's coming back for game two.
Been there, done that.
Right. For the last 3 years, been there, done that. But if I'm just going to just assume he's coming back. You know, he's going to be back relatively soon. Whatever it is, if it's just the one game that those two guys are out, you got to have that game. And if this was that game, you got it, and you can sock that win away and then go play a much more difficult series with those two guys back that you can definitely win, but they just make it much more difficult. They're that good, right? But just for this game, those are later games. For this game, I was really liking what the Avalanche were doing. You had that early 5-on-3, and when they didn't score on that, I mean, I wasn't like, running for the hills or anything like that, but you saw a lot of concern. It's not like the power play looked bad. I think they were forcing passes that were not there on a 5-on-3, which you do not do on a 5-on-3. You don't need to force anything on a 5-on-3 because eventually you're going to have an open lane, and it just didn't look like a 5-on-3 should. And then you can fast forward later when you get the double minor that's against McKinnon, and you do get one. So fine, you don't get the 5-on-3, which you always want to get those, but hey, not guaranteed. But at least you got one back on the double minor. But overall, I thought right off the jump, Avs had really good energy. And you better, when you've had as long as a time off as you have had as a team, and some players even longer, you better. I don't want to hear the rust thing. We're 82 games into the season. That's garbage. And I was really interested to see the first 5 minutes of this game. And I thought the Avs had really good jump, really good legs. And you're right. Like I thought for most of this game, Dallas gave their best punch, and the Avs could take that. What Dallas put out there for this game, the Avs can handle that.
Yeah.
And you just don't screw it. Like they got chances too. And thank God, praise Mackenzie Blackwood. We'll talk about him a little bit. But overall, I thought the Avs just played solid defense. After the first, I thought their offense got a little bit better. But I do want to see them get better shots on goal and not sail all these shots wide. But I have very few complaints overall in this game when it's game one on the road, hostile environment. They get back into the game by getting the goal. There's so many things that could have fallen off the wheels for the Avs, but they stayed the course and you get a 5-1 win.
Yeah, and like that 5-on-3 that you mentioned, like it was early enough on that you were that entire first period kind of felt like a feeling out period for both teams. Like you wanted to see what exactly what the game plan was, and you saw Dallas get extra physical, and Colorado. There were a couple times that they would, push you into Ottinger, and there was a reaction, and the Avs just never really buckled and got into it. Like Jamie Benn was Jamie Benn. Like I
didn't see him. I didn't really think
that.
I mean, you're right. He is Jamie Benn, but like,
that extra physical play and not having your guy go out there and try and create a spark, create a jump. There was never a need or a feeling like when that 5-on-3 did not materialize. You didn't feel like, oh, they're going to really need this one and keep pointing back to that one moment. Or just like the weird Lehkonen goal. Like it never felt like one central moment was going to be the deciding factor because it felt like the inevitable. If the Avs just keep doing what they're doing, and you get to see these adjustments with a little bit of intensity, where in this coming into the playoffs, the Avs were on that slide. It felt like they were going to make adjustments after the game when we get to practice. Like, yeah, we know it's a problem. We'll get to it. Like this, you got to see the difference of in-game adjustments because every game is critical, especially with the injury problems that the Dallas Stars have. You get to see the Avs make those adjustments and refine their game, improve their passing, and you get to see it pay off later on. And I really liked the Avalanche cool, calm, collected approach to this game, and where Dallas felt like the desperate team, and they probably shouldn't.
I mean, Dallas, I feel like Dallas needed to play like a perfect game with what they have out there. And not that they don't have guys that can't perform, but they're thin defensively. So the Avs have to take advantage of that. And I'm kind of happy the Avs got those, really 2 goals. You got the empty netter from McKinnon, and then you get that goal from was it Coyle at the end? Why am I blanking on it? There it is. Was it Coyle? Yeah, Coyle. I'm really glad you got those 2 goals. The Taves one, which puts you up 3, and then the Coyle one, because those first 2 goals were fluky goals. You know what I mean? Like the Lehkonen one was nuts. And no, it's not kicking. Like you need a distinct kicking motion that's intentional. And clearly, if you think that's intentional, Artturi Lehkonen is the greatest hockey player in the world to do that intentionally.
He's the greatest soccer player playing hockey.
Yeah. So it's clearly not intentional for him to do that. And then, so that one goes in, fluke. And then the McKinnon one, it hits a Dallas defender and knuckle pucks right past Ottinger. Hey, a goal is a goal, right? So you got 2. You're not going to apologize for them. You got 2 in the weirdest way, but you're up 2-0. And then, so if that was it, if the score ended 2-1, if you're the Avs, you're still happy because you got a road win game 1. If you're Dallas, you're thinking like, hey, they got 2 really weird goals on us. They're feeling pretty good too. But you get that great goal from Taves. Great pass. Logan O'Connor gains the zone. Great pass over to Manson. Great pass diagonal to Taves, who's down low. Just awesome. That's a fantastic goal. And then the last one from Coyle, that's a pretty goal too. So I liked seeing that. because it made me feel like, yeah, okay, we don't need these fluky goals all the time to get those to get past this team, because Ottinger needed to be on, and for the most part, he was. So, Dallas isn't going to just hang their head and be like, yeah, this series is over. No way. But there's things that I'm sure that they can take out of this. But for the Avs, you can at least take that out. Like, we got 2 past him that were weird and 2 past him that were solid.
Yeah, and you know what? I want to bring up a point on the other side that really stood out to me about this game 1. And for Avalanche purposes, I hope that might be the narrative going through, but some very interesting things coming out of game 1 that I thought would be a factor.
All right, we'll get to that. Obviously, we have to talk about Mackenzie Blackwood, because he was the star of this game. And we'll get to Landeskog. Didn't play in this one, but he could play in game 2 based on something that happened in game 1. We'll talk about that. And of course, our subtext people and our one and only sound check. So we'll do all that next. Let's talk about Amazon Fire TV. Did you know that your Fire TV is also an Xbox, Kyle? Did you know this? You can turn any TV into a gaming and entertainment hub with Fire TV Stick 4K devices. No console required. Just grab your paired controller, subscribe, or sign into Xbox Game Pass Unlimited with EA Play included, and you're ready to play. Dive into hundreds of premium titles from EA Sports, College Football 25, to Call of Duty Black Ops 6. What are you playing right now?
Indiana Jones.
Oh, I've heard that game is fantastic. Is it worth all the hype?
It is beautiful. It is wonderful.
Curious. So as easily as you stream your favorite shows, it's gaming made simple, and it's all on your Fire TV. Head to Amazon.com/Fire TV locked on to get started. Xbox Game Pass Unlimited subscription and compatible controller is required. Available on select devices, including Fire TV Stick 4K 2nd generation, Fire TV Stick 4K Max 1st and 2nd generation, and the Fire TV Cube 3rd generation. Pretty awesome. Go check that out. All right. Diving back into this 5-1 win for the Avs in game 1. Something you wanted to bring up regarding this game. Go for it.
You mentioned Jamie Benn didn't seem noticeable to you. He had about 12 minutes and 32 seconds of ice time. Mikko Rantanen had 18:32. Both. Jamie Benn was -1, Mikko Rantanen -2.
Mm-hmm.
When you are down like that and you are desperate and you are injury laden, you expect those guys to step up. And there was no counterpunch or step up from the Dallas Stars, which I thought, especially going into that first intermission, I thought, okay, you're about to see the best of the Dallas Stars coming out. And you saw the shell of Mikko Rantanen that we have come accustomed to in the end of the season. And Jamie Benn, yes, he was kind of gritty and grimy, but there was just no push from your big guys. And I thought that was a little concerning, especially going into the rest of this.
I agree. Let's see. Mikko Rantanen got 3 shots. Jamie Benn only had 1. And those are the only 2 guys like we're focusing in on here. But you didn't get that. You didn't get this shift where the Avs are just dead tired and Dallas is just cycling the puck, getting a fresh skater on to join the play. You didn't get that. Like, they got chances, but the chances were maybe Avs a little bit out of position. Puck kind of bounces a weird way that just goes to a Dallas player. And they had a couple good looks, but they weren't because they were creating them. It was just, hey, that's the sport of hockey sometimes. So you're right. Like, you didn't feel like you were not getting this just wave after wave of Stars lines, which they can do when they're healthy. And they should be able to do on occasion with what they have out there now. Like, I don't want to go to the extreme of, because you're down Robertson, that this team has nothing now offensively.
No,
he's great. He is great, and he's fun to watch. But you don't just fall off a cliff because he's not there. It hurts, and you saw that. But I was surprised at how much it affected them. And what's the they did, and they managed to get shots on goal. You tied. They were tied for shots on goal, 24 apiece. I just think the Avs defensively are just that much better than Dallas, and they're making it tough. They're going to make it tough for them this entire series.
Yeah, and that's why I brought that up, because you have injury problems to a couple motors when it comes to the offense, and not one member of the Dallas Stars went on the forward group went over 20 minutes. Like, you're even rolling,
Recycling, yeah.
and you never felt that pressure. The Avs cut off that fourth line whenever they're down and they want to generate some offense. You did not feel that generate from Dallas, and
No.
I found that very interesting. Like, you're really committed to cycling these lines evenly, and even giving Jamie Benn under 13 minutes. I thought that was shocking.
I really like the Avs aggressiveness. When they have 30 hits in this game. Now, it's not something that we like track a lot because it's not the Avs style of play, but I don't think there's been many games this season where the Avs have out hit their opponent. And they did in this one 30-18. So, but that's this new Avalanche team. Like they're not out to go do that. I don't feel like they have this mindset of like, for us to be successful, we need to out hit our opponent. I think they were just in the moment of the playoffs, man.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a body in front of them. I'm going to go hit them. There's nothing wrong with that. And like, you're not trailing on the play because of that. They weren't stupid hits. You didn't commit penalties because of them. I thought the aggressiveness of the Avs maybe caught Dallas by surprise. And maybe that's why they were doing it, because, the book on the Avs is they don't play that way. So when they do, Dallas maybe for like a hot second was like, what is this team? And now they don't know where a hit is coming from, or when they're up against the boards, hey, I'm going to get hit, because that's the style they're playing today, which is out of the norm for the Colorado Avalanche.
And see, the thing that screams to me the loudest is this is exactly what we've seen out of Dallas the past 6 or 7 games. You didn't get that extra drop of playoff intensity. This is that same skid. It's just carried into the playoffs. So I'm very curious on what Dallas Stars fans are feeling right now. Like, oh my goodness, did they peak too early? Are they broken? Is something wrong? Because you just didn't have, like we always talk about, when you get to the playoffs, you have this your team plays at a different level. And this felt like regular season, end of the year Dallas Stars part 2. And that's not what you want to see in a playoff environment. And I don't want the Avs to fall for that too, because that's still out there lurking.
I think it's a big deal that Dallas lost this game based on how they finished the regular season, because you always want to explain it away. You always want to say, it doesn't really matter. We have our seed, and how you play in the playoffs, that's the only thing that matters. But when you're on a losing streak like they were or are, and carry that over in your first game, you lose 5-1. Now it is a concern. Maybe not so much for the players, maybe a little bit, but for the fan base, they were like, this is just a continuation of what we didn't want to see, how our season end. So if you're the Avalanche, you have to keep capitalizing on that. And if you can win both these games in Dallas, oh man, like you have taken all of the momentum, all of it. Even one game you're happy with. That's what you want to do in these first 2 games, is take one. You've done that. Check box on that one. You take 2 and continue this losing streak for Dallas. Now that conversation of, how you're playing at the end of the season doesn't matter. Now it matters.
Yeah.
It totally does matter. So we'll see where game 2 goes. But yeah.
I don't want the Avs to also think, oh, this is how they're going to be all playoffs. No, continue this intensity. Don't rest in, oh, well, this is how they played us, because you saw that last year against Winnipeg. Don't rest on that. Continue pushing. This is the standard, but do not just take a step back because they did not give you the punch you anticipated. Continue pushing.
Mackenzie Blackwood was phenomenal in this game. And, a lot of questions. I understand them. When a guy has never played in the playoffs before, you're always wondering if the moment is going to be too big for that person. It was not for him. And to not let in a goal in the first 5-10 minutes is huge, because you just get that first save, and then that just kind of like dials you in. And just as this game goes along, he was fantastic. So he would be my number one star. Did he actually get the number one star in this game?
He got
or?
number 2. It was
Really?
Nate.
Was it Nate for one? Okay.
It was Nate 1 because of a 3.9, and then you had LOC as third star.
Okay. I still would have given it to Blackwood. He was awesome. And he's got to be that for these playoffs.
He wasn't just good. Yeah, I agree. He was awesome. Like, he wasn't just doing his job, but he was very active in the net when the puck wasn't present. Like, he wasn't just sitting there resting and like recharging. Like, when the puck was there, he was on puck side of whatever he was on the right side of the net when the puck was being driven, and seeing him that active and engaged and not resting and letting the moment get to him, he was dictating that moment. Seeing that, and this was his first playoff appearance, like, to see him handle that environment and that moment, that was very refreshing to see. And I'm very excited to see what he's going to look like the rest of the series, because this is a great start.
Just made some really just close in saves. There was one power play, but not the one that Dallas scored on, which the goal that they did get was a redirect.
Yeah.
So, very difficult to save any of those. But they had one in the second period where I can't remember who the player was, but just somehow got behind the Avs defenseman and had a really good look, and he stuffed him. So and the goal that they did score on, he lost his goalie stick in that moment. I don't know if that would have made a difference, but hey, I will take that performance. You get that, you're raising Lord Stanley, man. I don't want to go that far into the future, but you have to feel so good about how he played. He was awesome. He was phenomenal. All of the lauding stats that you want to, or heaping praise that you want to put on him, he deserves it, because there was a lot of questions surrounding him, and not that he ended the season all that great. It wasn't poor, but it wasn't the Blackwood when he first got to the Avs and was just dialed in. He looked like that for game one. So keep doing that and we'll be fine.
Yeah, Blackwood he was in control. Like, Matt Duchene was trying to do that end around and try and stuff it in, and he was picking up on that, and he was shutting that down, and he was getting so familiar with Dallas and how they were trying to attack that he was addressing and setting up for it. I would see when Matt Duchene would get the puck from that, he would set up and anticipate that end around, and like seeing him do that advanced stats and like advanced tracking and knowing what's going on, Greg Maddux style. I really liked seeing that confidence that he had, and he rose to the occasion. Great playoff start.
Awesome. So a little bit more to get to with this game. Obviously, we talk about Gabe Landeskog, our subtext crew, and our sound check. We'll do all that coming up next. Let's hear from Game Time. The Stanley Cup playoffs are here, obviously. And if you've never been to a live NHL playoff game, it is unlike anything in the world ever. The intensity, the speed, the energy in the building, it is next level. And thanks to Game Time, getting in the door is easier and more affordable than ever. Game Time is the fastest way to grab playoff tickets. Even for those must-see matchups, prices actually drop as puck drop gets closer. And with last-minute deals, you can save up to 60% off. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off of your first purchase. The terms apply. So again, create an account, and use the code LOCKEDONNHL, LOCKEDON NHL, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. We'll get to Landeskog in a second, but I felt like it wasn't like the best ice, because I felt like guys were falling all over the place. Sticks were breaking. Not that the ice has anything to do with sticks breaking, but tons of equipment getting shattered all night long. But you saw guys just tripping. It was right around like the blue. You saw Sam Girard, just nobody around him, and he just falls. And the Sammy G haters are just going to say it's because he sucks, but no. But you saw guys just falling all over the place. So Dallas, get it together. when it comes to your ice, please.
Yeah,
Let's
and
fix
like
that.
Lindgren going face first into the boards because of like losing his footing, and
Yeah.
just Dallas Stars players just piling on top. Like it, original Avs fans can remember the days of Dallas Stars having horrible ice conditions in the early 2000s and having to postpone games because of humidity. So might be a little bit of that action going on. I don't know, but the Avs have had bad ice before. They can overcome it.
Yeah. Lake Tahoe, anyone? But the technology has improved. Dallas ice apparently has not. So, and for the Avs, let's see, they were just sailing shots.
Yeah.
Left and right, and the TNT crew, who I thought had a rough day, did mention Cale Makar. They were right about him though. I don't know what was going on with, maybe it was the lights or something going on, but Cale Makar was just sailing pucks all over the place. And for a minute, I thought we had 95 back on our team. This is like
Oh,
someone needs to remove Andre Burakovsky from the group chat because this was rough. There were shots everywhere.
it's
And
not
not
like
on net.
yeah, it's not like Seattle's doing anything right now. So
No, they're not. 50. Well, let's see. For all situations, 69 Corsi 4
nice.
for the Avs. Yeah. And 24 shots on goal. That's not good. That's not a good percentage. We got to clean that up. No Gabe Landeskog in this game, and you found out like the official word a couple hours before the game. But I haven't listened to Gabe Landeskog, or excuse me, to Jared Bednar, his press conference, because we record this right after the game is over. Ross Colton didn't play a whole lot in the third. Let me see. He had, where is he?
704.
There you go. Yeah. So I think they were wanting to hold Landeskog out until game 3. Because they understand the assignment, and that would be just an absolutely epic moment. I mean, it would be, like I said before, it'd be epic even if he played game 1 and game 2. But for his first official game back to be in Ball Arena in the playoffs, game 3, their first game at Ball Arena, would just be epic. I don't know what the injury was to Ross Colton. I don't know how severe it is. I don't know if he's out for game 2. But if he is, maybe you push this up because you have to. We'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see where this goes.
And you didn't have Miles Wood, Jimmy Vesey, or Sam Malinsky.
Yeah, the Malinsky one, I feel like he just wanted to go with experience for
It's
that.
fine.
Because I just love, yeah, I'm fine with that. Totally fine with that. But I would like to see Malinsky get in there because I think he deserves it. I think he had a great season, and I think he deserves some playoff time. So,
but again, this goes back to our conversation. This is a good problem to have when you can talk about the scratches and remember all the great moments they've already provided this season. So this is a deep team.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, all right, let's get on over to our subtext people, and then we'll get our sound check in here. We'll start with Cody. Says Blackwood was all caps legendary and exclamation points. Definitely deserved a shutout, in my opinion. Mind you, the team in front of him could have been a bit better. They need to score on those 5-on-3s. Other than that, I thought we were good. Also, Makar should throw his sticks away because we need him to hit the net as much as possible. I'm not worried about Cale Makar. I get what you're saying, Cody, but Cale Makar will be just fine. He'll be just fine.
He'll dial it in. He'll dial it in eventually.
Craig says, gotta admit, I had the playoff jitters. Did you? No. I didn't. For some reason, I was very calm going into this game. And as the game starts, like you do start to get like some nerves and stuff like that. But all day, like just leading up to the game, like I was fine.
I mean,
I don't know.
And I this is a good problem to have. You've made the playoffs 8 years in a row. You know the assignment.
I don't. But I don't want to be that guy.
No,
that's like
you know the assignment. You know this team is deep. Like on years where you're like just patchwork trying to make this narrative on maybe the Avs have a chance. You feel really good and solid about this team and like what their chances are. So like, and with Dallas and their injury concerns, like this one, especially what you saw in the game before with St. Louis and Winnipeg, you're like, this one's going to be okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So he goes on, the score doesn't really reflect it, but the game seemed too close for too long. I'm glad the guys worked hard, or glad the guys' hard work paid off. Big props Blackwood on his first ever playoff performance. It was stellar. Glad Lecky was able to break that goal drought as well. Sometimes it takes a weird one to get things going. Yeah, I mean it's bizarre that Arturi Lehkonen was just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn when it came to getting a goal over the last month of the season. And that's the one he gets. Hey, but it's like a bunt, right? Sometimes you need a bunt to break out of a hitter slump. If that's what gets him going, that's amazing that we'll look back on that goal as the goal that reignited Arturi Lehkonen's goal scoring prowess.
And was it the last goal he had, the one from his butt? So
was that the last one? It could have been.
You could have, what a wonderful bookend of oddity goals.
Right. Man, I don't know. I'm really curious to see if that just gets him going because good Lord. We got Vargar here. Solid start, hard fought physical win, but this series is going 7. Can't wait until game 3. Oh, captain, my captain. Maybe getting game 2, bro.
Yeah. But wait, there's war, Vargar.
Lisa says that's how you start a series. Fantastic effort overall. Blackwood looks solid. Should be interesting to see what Dallas comes back with on Monday. Yeah, even if Dallas doesn't get these 2 guys back for game 2, you know that they're going to put in a different game plan, a much more I don't want to say effort, just a solid game, because I feel like effort's always there for them. But Peter DeBoer is great at revisions and fixing things that did not work for them in game 2. So don't expect to go out and the same thing happen. But for the Avs, you want to go out and play the same game that you did because you've made it difficult for them.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa.
They have to overcome that. Yep.
Yeah, I agree with Lisa. Game 2 scares me more than game 1 because Dallas knows what you have, and you really don't know what Dallas is going to give you.
But do you? I mean, I guess you don't, but
they have pieces to add, and that really did not feel like Dallas's best effort. And it felt like the Avs really, especially towards the end, they really put it on to get those goals, but you feel like the Avs could give more, but it's not like there are many more pieces you could add to this roster that'll change the dynamic. So it's very interesting. Like Dallas, I don't want to be taking them lightly.
No, I don't think anybody is. So, and finally, our Mayor Charles, chiming in here. Bad day to be a star. Good game. Don't mind even the Manson penalties. And Mikko was a ghost. The Mayor thrown
Too bad.
down.
So sad.
Yeah. No, I again, I don't. He's right with the Manson penalties. They're just, you're working hard. Maybe you got a little bit too high on the Marchment one, but boy, did he sell that bad boy. It was a penalty, but geez, he took his neck off from the way that he responded to that. But whatever.
At least he showed effort.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to our sound check. That's where we pick one song each, put these songs up, or these songs summarize the most recent game. We put these songs up on a playlist over on Spotify, which you can follow along. LOA Soundcheck Volume number 4 is what these songs are on. Go for it, sir.
Well, my friend, you do know this is the night 1 of the playoffs, and this is also night 1 of WrestleMania weekend.
Oh, yeah. You're the wrestling guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So, naturally, we are going to be going with Killswitch Engage. This Fire Burns. It used to be the old theme song for CM Punk, my guy.
Okay.
It's a great song. And honestly, you kick off the playoffs, you feel good about this team. I mean, top to bottom, this team is really scary when everything's firing. And it felt like this was a slow start and yes, the score looks great, but watching it wire to wire, this is a slow start. And the Avs could do so much more. I'm very excited about this Avalanche team. Very excited.
So you're combining your WrestleMania with your Avalanche and combining them into one formidable opponent.
This is how Reese cups are made.
We're eating a lot of those tomorrow. I can tell you, or today, depending on when you're listening to this. Yeah. You said something in there. You said it feels good to watch this there, whatever you said, but use the phrase feels good. And you nailed my sound check there, sir. I went with old school. Remember Tony?
Yeah.
Gotta go with Tony. That was like,
Oh man.
middle school dances,
Yeah.
like for Tony in the early 90s. Yeah, they had a song Feels Good, and it's just a uppity, boisterous, like just happy song. I mean, they're not singing about hockey,
No.
but the sentiment remains the same. This feels good. This feels like again, like just how we started the show, to go in to their barn and 5-1. You had fans heading for the exits. Like, I understand that, game's over, but for the clock to hit 0 and that arena is basically empty. Gotta love that. So
Yeah.
everything about this feels good. So that's what I'm going with. The old Tony.
Man, that's
Old school.
I haven't thought about them in a while.
Way out. So go follow along with that. All right. We will be back on Monday. We were going to be, I'm sure we'll have some leftovers and stuff to do with this game. And we'll maybe the Ross Colton news, and who knows what's going to happen with that. So obviously a lot to talk about. So tune in Monday. We'll be back for that one. So thank you for tuning into this one and making it your first listen of the day. That is always appreciated. He is Mr. Shaggy Von Doom, Kyle Sullivan. I am Chris Maselli. This is the Locked On Avalanche podcast. And even though you feel good that it's a 5-1 win, you still are 24 hours closer of Sidney Crosby being a Colorado Avalanche uniform.
Yeah, at home in Nova Scotia.
You would have made it 6-1.